doing that, I was face to face with it. It was holding me by my throat, and it felt like it was sucking something out of me.
I probably should have been more scared than I was when I witnessed the exorcism.
I turned and looked on my right side. When I did, there's a beam on the side of the tree, a large beam. It's looking at me and I'm looking at it.
After I hit the lock button and looked back up, I saw red eyes staring back at me.
That they're going to show multiple gods all over the earth, be able to speak in people's languages, and at that point, it kind of converge into this one entity, which will be revealed as extraterrestrial. You'll realize that aliens are the gods of old, and at that point, it'll wipe religion out of the context of humanity.
No, it couldn't have been a person, I know that. I know that people can't run through the woods like that.
So this thing comes into view, and I see it. It's 50 yards away from me. It's walking on two legs. It's huge. This is a big, hairy-looking being.
Welcome. I'm your host, and this is uNcomfortable. Welcome back to the show, everybody. I am your host, Eric Szilagyi. If you have an uncomfortable experience you'd like to have featured on the show, please get a hold of me at contact.uncomfortable@gmail.com. Make sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram, both at Uncomfortable Podcast 65. Most importantly, please share the show with others and make sure you leave us a 5-star rating and review wherever you can. Those are the main ways that you can help in getting the show out in front of more people, and more people listening means more great guests like tonight's guest coming forward with their experiences to share with you, the listener. I think I've got some cool stuff coming up in the works. I think I mentioned this an episode or two back. Some big announcements for after the first of the year. Maybe something that falls in line with the 2-year anniversary in February. Something that's going to possibly make it easier for this awesome community that we have created to be more involved and more in touch. And I'll just leave it at that. And if you guys have any ideas that you think would help bring this community together, please reach out either on social media or via email and let me know your ideas. Tonight's guest comes to me through an introduction from a previous guest who will become obvious once we get into it. This gentleman's resume of the paranormal is, if nothing, quite thorough. We've got a number of things to tackle in this episode, so let's get at it. If you would, please give a warm, uncomfortable welcome to Tim. Tim, welcome to the show.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
Great to have you. Really had an interesting conversation that was supposed to take, maybe 20, 25, 30 minutes the other day, and I think we clocked in about 90 minutes. Kind of
easily, yeah.
par for the course, but
right,
yeah. So we got a number of things, and you were gracious enough to send me a PDF, kind of with some bullet points. Lead investigator of SCARI, S.C.A.R.I. Yes. What a great name for a paranormal group. Very, very cool.
It confuses some of the clients sometimes. They don't always understand what it means because they don't read the website. It's on the website. It stands for the Seekers of California for Ethereal, research and investigation. Ethereal spelled AE, like the old Latin way, because I really wanted it to be scary. You know.
No, it very catchy. So tell us about it. Tell us about your group.
SCARI started in 2000. Sorry.
Go ahead and tell us about your group.
Oh, okay, fantastic. SCARI started in 2009. It was just me and a buddy of mine named Henry Wiazowski. He's no longer with us. He passed in 2020, not of COVID, interestingly, but he's no longer with us. But he and I were a good team. I was the guy who wanted to believe, and he was the absolute scientific skeptic. His background was in science, computer science, and finance, of all things. And finance is where he made his living, but he had a true scientist's heart, and his computer science background is pretty extensive as well. So we go out in the field whenever we get a call, and that's how the team worked. It became apparent I needed a third person on the team, and that's where JJ comes into play.
And there's the hook, JJ Light Rose from a couple episodes ago, if you remember her. I'm sure you do. So, what did she bring to the team that you were missing? What were you lacking?
Well, we caught a case not too far from where I'm at. I mean, geographically speaking, it's like maybe a mile away from me. And these people were having some pretty nasty poltergeist activity and some shadow people activity. And they were at a loss as to what to do. And it was clear this thing needs to be cleared from the house, need to be cleansed. I don't have that capability. Henry's a scientist. He doesn't have that capability. And so I was stuck to help these people, and I felt horrible. Usually when you get called into these types of things, you're asked to confirm, the client's sightings, what they're hearing, confirm the haunting.
Validate.
So they don't feel crazy.
Yeah, validate their
validation.
Their
absolutely. Yeah. Exactly. And validation wasn't enough in this case. This thing needed to be gotten rid of, and I didn't have the capability. So I created a quick Craigslist thing. If anyone still knows what that is. And about a few days later, I get a call from JJ. And it's like Sunday at 9 p.m. I never answer the phone that late anyway, but it was a scary call. It came in on the scary line. I figured someone's in trouble. I might as well help. And as best as I could, it's JJ. And she calls me and she says, I want to know if you need a cleaner. I said, oh, that's amazing. You just asked that because 4 days ago I had this case. And so it was serendipitous that she called. However, we were not able to help the people who needed that kind of stuff. They ghosted me hard. They just stopped receiving my calls.
Really?
Because I couldn't help them with what they required at the time. Yeah, even though I said, listen, I got a cleaner now. She's on board. Let's get her in there and help you out. Nothing. It was voicemail after voicemail. And
wow.
I quit after 4 times.
That's odd, isn't it?
I mean, it was unfortunate. It really is odd. You would think people who want help would take help. But it's not like I'm charging for it. It's a outreach program.
Well, I wonder if that's like a misinterpretation. If somebody is an investigator, do they also think that person is poised and educated in the ways of clearing the house, and then you having to go outside, maybe put them off. But I don't know anybody who is an investigator by nature that is schooled or prepared to remove these things from they're adept at making contact with it and validating or dispelling, but that takes a certain skill set that I don't know many people that have.
Right. it takes a discipline I certainly don't have. But when JJ came on board, it was fantastic. So that case fell through, and we were in the holding pattern for like week and a half when we get another case. In this case, classic haunting, objects moving around, full-bodied apparitions, phantom voices, shadow figures, and so it's like, yeah, we'll take the case. I call JJ, she's on board. So Henry and I go in, we do our tech through, going with the instruments, try and get stuff recorded on said instruments. We experienced battery drain almost immediately. I'd say within the first hour of our being there, everything we had was drained, even our backups.
Really?
So it was, and what was going on there was pretty intense. We caught some of it. Bottles shifting, cabinets opening, phantom footsteps down the hall, odd EMF readings in the bathroom especially. But once we lost battery power, it's like, all right, JJ, you're coming in. And so she was downstairs. We're on the third floor of this apartment complex that was being used as college dorms for a small arts college.
Mm-hmm.
And she comes up and she hits the doorway and she looks freaked out. Whatever's in here that I can't see, that Henry can't see, it's freaking her out. She gathers herself. She's ready to rock. She's in. She says, okay, I see what's going on. Oh, yeah, and she's kind of muttering to herself. I said, you got to articulate. You got to tell me what's going on, because I have like 2% power on this camera. I'm trying to document this whole thing. And she says, okay, let me sit down. Let me have a conversation with her. You plug in your camera into the wall socket, and I have a few questions I need to ask. I'll follow her lead. She asked the clients a few questions that I never even thought to. Thank God for JJ, because wow, she asked the right questions because she saw what questions to ask. And it turns out the one young lady being affected most by this experience lives in the Midwest someplace, I'm not sure where. And when she was there, she fell into essentially a cult, a satanic cult on top of that.
Really?
Yeah, she fell into it, and she was quickly groomed, taken in, really taken care of. They were super supportive of her and whatever it is she wanted to do. And then came the big ask, and it turns out that ask was to be sacrificed, unbeknownst to her. She's led blindfolded down to a basement. I know this sounds right out of a movie. This is what she told us, though. Blindfolded down to a basement, laid down on a table. The next thing she knows, her arms and hands are tied. The blindfold's pulled off, and she's about to get killed with a knife.
Jesus.
And bam, I know, bam, in come the sheriffs right on cue. Again, it sounds like something right out of a movie, but that's what happened. In come the sheriff, or I don't know who, she said sheriff. In come the sheriffs right on cue, bust the whole thing up, and she gets saved. That whole experience, she renounced the whole thing, the satanic aspect of her life. She didn't turn to Christianity or any other religion per se, but she's just went completely agnostic, zero religion in her life. She moves out here, and she's always had this problem wherever she moves to. So she hit Chicago first, and she hit Arizona, and then she came here, if I remember correctly. And this problem has followed her. So JJ, being who she is, zeroed in on the exact problem of what was going on. She had an attachment, pretty severe one too. Stop rolling tape, she says. We get out she pulls us all out onto the balcony. Now I should stop and tell you, on the balcony, it was a lovely, for my taste, very comfortable 65 degrees. Inside this, it was fall. cold out full. I'm not going to lie. But nonetheless, it felt really refreshing to be out on this balcony because inside this house.
Spoken like a true Californian.
It was hot. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know. 65. California cold. California cold. So, but I'm comfortable in colder weather. But anyway, in the house, in this apartment, it was easily 95 degrees, even with the AC at full tilt. And so these poor students, and there are like 6 people living in this dorm. Anyway, so they're roasting to death, we're roasting to death, and she says, okay, I know what's going on, I know what to do. What do you want me to do for her? And it's her first time with us, so I put her to the test. I say, nuke it. I do not ever want to come back here again. I'm going to check in with these people in 2 weeks, and they're going to tell me everything's fine. She said, you got it. So she says, wait out here with them, keep them talking. I'm going to go back, and I'm going to do my thing and get this thing cleared. And I say, can I record you? She says, no, not this time. I respect that. We wait out in the living room. I'm with my partner, Henry. We're chatting low just so we don't disturb her too much, and then you feel it, and I mean literally feel it. We all do. This concussion blast, boom, rips out from where about where she's standing. The epicenter is from her. Boom. Now, if you've ever been to a Civil War reenactment, for example, or anywhere near where they've shot a cannon off, and you feel that in your chest before, it's boom, and then in your chest, right? Yeah. Same thing, except without the boom. It's just the concussion wave. And we all go, oh my God, what was that? It was intense. Now, keep in mind, I got my partner Henry with me. That man is a scientist through and through. Empirical evidence only. That's empirical. I messed up the word on. Empirical evidence only. And he was flabbergasted. He says, did you feel that? And I said, yeah, did you feel that? And we all said, yeah, we felt that. And the room suddenly gets cooler. We can feel the AC circling through. It's almost too cold now. And it suddenly... She did it. She nuked that thing and sent it back to wherever. And we were both very convinced that she was the one for us. Yeah. So JJ was a part of the team from that day forward.
Wow. What, so my experience with her has been totally over audio. I do know what she looks like via one picture. But and I talk to her literally, if not every day, every other day, just
really, that's great.
Popping in, hey, how's it going? What's going on? How you doing? She's a wonderful soul. I absolutely love her to death.
Me too.
I cannot in my mind's eye, picture how she is in real life, in a situation like that. I can't envision what that looks like. I get the impression that it's probably a very much like her personality when talking to her. She's very sweet and very kind of tiptoes around things, but when it's go time, I excuse me, I get this picture of this little blonde tank that just decides to start going through walls, and I imagine I'm probably
not wrong. You're not wrong. She gets very furious at the evil things in the world, especially in the metaphysical realm where she is best served to take him on. But she gets pissed off at the evil things. It's pretty impressive. It's great to have her in the scary corner for sure.
That's awesome.
She's an asset beyond that word.
Just that description of her makes me think that at some point I'm going to have to get tickets to fly out there, because I'd like to see her in all of her glory.
Yeah, a little blonde Spitfire. You'll love her.
Well,
you'll love her. She's just a fantastic individual.
That's awesome. So this group is still currently active, and
yeah,
you're always taking on new investigations.
It's been a bit of a dry spell. The last investigation we had was just when COVID broke, more or less. I mean, the serious version of it, where we were allowed to circulate more and socialize a little more openly. It was masks all the time, but we got a case in Santa Cruz. And again, thank God for JJ. And that was, I think, 2021. So last year. It's been a year since we've had a proper case. Yeah. But that was an interesting case too. Go ahead.
Do you find that to be a little bit odd with the current climate of what this world is seemingly going down the old pooper quick as possible? It would seem that I would think, much like in Ghostbusters, once they all got let out, everybody was calling. Do you find it kind of odd that you've been that kind of in a dry spell?
It's interesting you mentioned that. There has been, yes, a dry spell, but at the same time, other areas are going hot, which is weird. About 2019 is where we hit just a dead streak. And it was nothing up until that case in 2021. And I called around to some other local ghost centers that I know, and some of them had gone out of business.
Oh, really?
Others reported the exact same thing. They said, it's dead quiet. There's nothing happening. We're going out looking for it now. Petitioning old bars that have been around since the 1800s, for example. We have a few out here in California, probably not like back east or in the Midwest, but we have a few older spaces around here. And it was just dead. But in like the south and southwest of the country, it was lighting up for some reason. Northwest of the north and northeast lighting up. I don't know why, but it was weird. It was just weird. And right through the middle of the country, even on the East Coast, nothing. It was just like a veritable dead zone. You get a few things here and there, but yeah, it was bizarre. And the case we had in Santa Cruz ended up being that the lady didn't realize she was a medium. She was seeing these people who were coming to her for help because, I guess, spiritually speaking, they knew she was a medium and could help them out. But she thought she was just getting haunted. Oh. But my tech through showed nothing. And then JJ comes in and says, oh, I get it. They're coming to you for help. You're not being haunted. They didn't die here. They, they want your help with something. And so started her off on shit. It was pretty cool.
They're looking at her like, come on, lady, what the hell? We're coming to you.
Exactly.
You're looking at us like a deer in the headlights.
Exactly. So that was.
So I assume as a group, with having the knowledge that across the vastness of the U.S. that there were hot spots and there were cold spots. Your group is in contact with a number of different paranormal investigative organizations. Is there like a clearinghouse for excuse me for these groups to be in contact with each other, or is it just through relationships that you've developed over the years?
Relationships, pretty much. Like you meet at an occasional convention here and there, or you get called to the same case. That happened once. That was weird. It was the happy zone between Hayward and us, and we both got the same case. This person called both people, or two people reached out and called two different companies and to come out and investigate. So teams, this is the word I meant to use. And but sometimes that's how you meet each other. Usually it's through a network. Other times it's friends of friends. Hey, my friends over in this town do this too. Let's get together and have a beer and swap stories.
So I'm curious, as an investigator, it sounds like you're a non-for-profit deal, and your interest is primarily in helping the people that are having the issue, and
correct,
with the addition of JJ being able to have some closure and remove whatever's going on in the house. How often are you made aware of, or do you run into other teams that are maybe a little bit more interested in making a name for themselves as far as, getting big on YouTube or trying to land a deal with Travel Channel or Discovery Plus?
Right.
How prevalent does that seem to be in your...
It was just after Ghost Hunters came out, a bunch of ghost teams just suddenly popped up. Guilty. SCARI was one of those, but we had, I think, the best intentions. Everyone was suddenly on YouTube. We didn't go to YouTube at all. Mm-hmm. We didn't go there. And there was this all girl team. And one of them dyed their hair pink, and they actually had pink in their name. God, I wish I could remember what it was too. And it was basically just for show. And all they really did was investigate the same house 5 different times, 5 different rooms, which kind of makes sense. But at the same time, the way they were recording it, it was less than amateurish. It was like they just set the cell phone up, leaned it up against something, and went for it. And they did some really dangerous things, in my personal estimation, as an investigator. They used a Ouija board a lot, which I think is a big mistake. There was seances, which is kind of like Ouija board, but not. And then there were abject antagonization. That's the one that really concerned me and kind of ticked me off at the same time. They were asking these things to attack them, possess me. Are you kidding me? No. It's like, oh man, yeah, it got dangerous real quick, and they were clearly doing it just for a show, to be picked up, to show off to whatever media entity they were trying to attract. So, and there were a number of groups that were doing that, and they were just as careless. And I saw one group going with guns. Okay, you don't really? You're gonna shoot the ghost?
Going in with guns.
Right.
Wow.
They went in with 2 had revolvers and 1 had a semi-auto, and it's like, yeah, okay.
They realize they're already dead, right?
I see what you really want to do. Sorry?
They realize they're already dead, right?
Right, exactly. Gotta kill them twice. What's going on? Oh man, wow. Yeah, that was extra special right there.
Well, hey, something that really stood out to me, and it's only a couple of words in your list of things to me, and it's primarily because I remember watching I think it was ABC movie of the night or movie of the week back in the late 70s. The Ghost of Flight. What was it? Ghost of Flight 409, I think it was. Ernest Borgnine. Ernest Borgnine was the captain, and it was. I was captivated by it. I absolutely loved that movie. But you've got in your notes here to me a flight attendant ghost, and when I read that, the first thing that went through my head is, damn, I wonder if he was on one of the planes that had the parts from the Flight 409.
Could be. Oh man, that would maybe explain a few things. But yeah, that happened to me personally when I was 4, give or take. And I know a lot of folks well, you're 4, you probably dreamed the whole thing. No, I didn't. I'll tell you the story briefly. Used to sleep with my door open when I was a kid. Fast asleep, and suddenly the living room light pops on, like out of nowhere. And I wake up, it's like, what's going on, and this woman, and it looks like she's in a stewardess uniform. It was blue on one side, green on the other, and she had a skirt that matched. And I think she had the white blouse underneath it. Mm-hmm. And I don't know what airline that is, but she had like a short bob haircut, blonde, thin, pretty, the whole thing. Most stewardesses of the day, flight attendants, excuse me. So, and she walks in, puts her hands on her hips, and waggles her finger at me, yelling. But there's no sound.
Yeah.
No sound, though. I can see that mouth moving, that face is scrunched up, and I don't know what's going on because I can kind of see through her. And I close my eyes, and I kind of hide, and I go prone, right? And I'm on my side, and my eyes are closed, and I'm shivering. And I wait a few minutes. I don't hear anything. And when I open my eyes, she is right there in my face.
Oh, no.
Has her head tilted at my orientation, right? Still going off on me. Ba, 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 ba. And I let out a shriek. And I shoot out of my room. Go through her, I might add. I go through her, shoot out of my room, run down the hall, wake my mother up. There's a lady in my room. There's a lady in my room. Good God, there's a lady in my room. And she's groggy. She looks around. The entity's gone. Maybe I scared it off or whatever. Doesn't come back. Mom checks the house. And then she looks at me, because I'm standing in the hallway waiting for the worst to happen, right? And she flicks off the light, and we have like a night light in the hall, but she flicks off the living room light, and she says, "Did you turn this on?" And no, I didn't. I couldn't reach them. Remember back in the 70s, they had things set a little higher than they do now. So I go, I really couldn't reach it unless I jumped up, and I had to make an effort to get to that light switch. So that was my ghost, my first ever, and since up until about 2021, the only spirit I ever saw. But it was intense because she was so clear, so crystal clear.
That's interesting. I wonder what the connection was with, the flight attendant suit, and why, just happenstance that she happened to be
blue
passing through your.
I mean, my little apartment on the first floor. She walks in, or presumably flips on the light and screams at me for about a minute and a half, and then I lose my poop, and the rest. But
wow. So
it was definitely an experience.
So your decision to get into investigating, obviously have that experience at a young age, and then looking at the rest of the stuff, it seems like you have had a number of different experiences throughout your growing up and into adulthood.
Yeah.
Now, I think I'm going back to the conversation we had a day or so ago. I seem to remember you saying something about people were telling you that you had an ability, but you weren't aware of it, and you were kind of interested in finding out if you actually did. So how did you go about that? What was the process for you to do that? And ultimately, what was the response when you found out?
Okay. The story truly starts when I'm like 2 or 3. And same apartment, by the way. About a year before I see the ghost. I've always been able to see auras, that the electromagnetic glow that people and things have. Not everyone's privy to it or can see it or whatever, but I could. And one day I tell my mom, "Hey mom, there's a light around you." And she stops dead in her tracks, turns to me and says, like, "Is it different colors?" And she walks me through the steps of what an aura is. And I said, yeah. And yeah, apparently I can see auras. I still can if I focus hard enough, but the ability doesn't come to me like it used to. Yeah. So, but interesting. Apparently that's a form of yeah, go ahead.
It's interesting though that she kind of picked up on what you were saying right off the bat.
Yeah, it is, and she's relatively psychic herself. She's had 3 that I know of precognitive events happen to her. She foresaw her own brother dying. She foresaw her father dying, my granddad.
Really?
And yeah, and she foresaw something else tragic. I mean, well, that's a hell of a gift. You can see when people die before they do. Oh my God. So I think she puts up walls mentally every time this happens because it doesn't happen so much anymore. But she still gets sensations. We had an event happen in the family, pretty sad, revolving around a death. And she knew instantly when that happened. And this was only a couple of days ago because of her connection to her sister, who it happened to her sister's husband. So she picked up on her sister's sensations. It was really bizarre. It was like, suddenly I feel super depressed. I was like, what's going on? And we literally got a phone call confirming her feelings. So mom has always had an inkling of this. It said my great-grandmother was practically a gypsy. Sorry, we're not supposed to say that word anymore, and I can't remember what the proper word is.
We can't use that word anymore either?
You know, no, I got a Romani, I think is the word we're supposed to use now. I got creamed on it recently. It's like, oh my God, really, dude?
Wow.
And I got the verbal slap down. It's all right. I didn't know that. So Romani, I think, is the new word. I'm probably getting that wrong too. But my apologies to those listening. I'm just too out of touch, I guess. But she was, something of a soothsayer, and people would go to her and she'd read cards, not tarot, but playing cards. And it was interesting.
I don't know that I've ever heard that.
So there's a history. Yeah, it's a substitute for tarot. It can. It's just the number value and the suit speak to a given thing. So she read playing cards, which was interesting. And she made a little bit of a living doing that, but not much. But so it runs in the family. I'm the first male I'm aware of who's had it. I don't know what to make of that, but or who's spoken of it. Okay, I will say this though. I think my granddad was psychic. I think he foresaw his death.
Oh, really?
Because he pulled my cousin Tom. Yeah. He pulled my cousin Tommy and I to one side and says, "See these rings? I hear some beautiful rings. You really did. I don't wear jewelry personally, but I kept the ring. It's on a chain. He says, see these 2 rings? You're gonna have to fight for them when I die." His words exactly. And Tommy and I. Sorry, Tommy, I called you out on the air. So my cousin and I look at each other and we're like, "What? Why'd you say that? Why'd you say it like that?" "Oh, I'm just saying, one of these days these 2 rings, they go to you. You get to choose which ones you want. And okay. And so, and that was, he pulled us aside to tell us this. Like, we're at a family gathering, his place. And he took the effort to get us to a secret location, not secret, but an out of the way location to tell us this. And I follow him. He walks back with this depression, this cloud over him, right? And I follow him. I walk after him, and I ask him point blank. I said, "Did you see your own death?" And he was a little flabbergasted by my question, because that is a rough thing to ask.
Yeah.
I said, "Did you see something?" And he puts his hand on my shoulder in a way I've never felt before. Not that he wasn't a loving man, he was a good grandpa and all that, but he was kind of a gruff individual. Kept his distance to a degree. But I mean, the amount of love and warmth in that one action of putting his hand on my shoulder and giving it a solid squeeze, and he got a little misty in the eyes, and I realized I was overstepping. Kind of saw that coming anyway, but I mean, I figured I'd risk it. But I said, "Okay, Grandpa, if you don't want to tell me anything, that's totally cool. I love you, and it's all good." And he says, "Okay," and he gives me this pat, gets a little macho about it, and we just kind of part ways at that point. But he was gone about I think a week later.
No kidding.
A week later, he was gone. And apparently he'd had similar conversations with his daughters, including my mother, and pulled them all aside, had these individual conversations with them.
Interesting.
So, yeah, that was pretty crazy.
I don't think that's
going
something.
Back to my thing.
I don't think that's something that I would want to be aware of.
No, I agree with you wholeheartedly. I mean, I'm fortunate. The one precognitive experience I ever had was really freaking mundane. I mean, mundane. So this is high school. And end of the year, everyone's getting lazy. It's like you have to go to school just to say you went to school for the school board's sake. Mm-hmm. But reality, the year's over. So it's PE, 4th or 5th period. We're just about to get out of school anyway. And the coach says, "Okay, I don't know what we're doing here. I personally think you should all go home." And we're going, "Yeah, but you can't." So here's flag football. Just literally hucks the flag football kit. We all pick our flags. We're playing flag football. I'm getting massacred on the field. I wasn't exactly the biggest person at that point in my life, but I didn't grow until much later. I'm 6 foot now, but back then I was like 5'5" or something like that. And I hardly had any muscle on me. I didn't really, anyway. So this buddy of mine says, "Hey, I talked to the coach. I'm just going to turn in early." I said, "Oh, thank you. That's great. Can I come with you?" "Yeah, sure." Because I didn't want to play football anymore. And I hear this word, and it's a cue in the background as these other guys continue to play football. And it hits me. I've seen this all before. So I whack my buddy in the arms. Go, hey, dude, check this out. He's going to say this, and he's going to say, the other guy's going to get mad at him. They're dropping F-bombs at each other, by the way. I don't want to litter your channel with F-bombs. So they're saying, F you, no, F you, you mother, blah, blah, blah. And I say what they're going to say. And it plays out exactly like that. Exactly like that. Word for word, motion for motion, just like I saw it in my head. And my buddy turns to me, says, his eyes are bugging out. He's saying, "How did you do that?" And I have to be honest, I don't know. I just saw it in my head. And we're silent. On the way back locker room, we change, we leave, and that was the last time I ever saw him. He did not socialize with me ever after that.
No kidding.
Ever again. I scared him. Yeah.
Wow.
So,
how did that?
Ability? Yeah, I do.
How did that feel when you were relaying? Like, I guess the better question is, how much of a delay was there? Like, did you see it and then you knew it was going to happen and then it happened, or were you just aware of it?
I had seen it before. Specifically, I saw it in a dream that morning, and it played out exactly like it did in my dream.
Wow.
I mean, exactly like it did in my dream, including the coach coming over and screaming at him. It was just amazing.
That's crazy.
It was, and I was amazed by it too. I was every bit as freaked out as my friend was, but yeah, he abandoned me as a friend from that point forward.
Nice guy.
Yeah.
So kind of on that note, what was the telepathic communication between you and your sister?
Okay, so I called her my sister. Technically, we're not blood, but I mean, when we met, we knew each other forever. I don't know if that's a past life thing or not, but she is, for all intents and purposes, my sister. I just wanted to get that out of my way, and she knows who she is if she's listening. But I'm driving her to college. She has a college course, a night course, and and again, my psychic stuff is largely mundane. But we're sitting in the car at a light, and this monster truck, I'm talking Bigfoot from the 80s, rolls up next to us. And I hear her say, "My God, that's a big truck. That thing's just gigantic." Those are the words. And at the same time, I got this weird little itch in the back of my head. Like I can feel, you know, that little knot, that bone that protrudes at the back of the skull just above the neck?
Yeah.
Well, I feel that kind of twitch and tingle and itch as she's saying this. And I said, "Oh, I know, that thing's gigantic." And she looks to me, bug eyes. "What? What did you just say?" I said, "I know, that's gigantic. You said that was a big truck." And she says, "No, I didn't say that, Tim." I said, "I heard you say it. I heard you say it, dude. You said it." And she says, "Tim, I thought that." I said, "You did not think." I challenged her. I didn't believe her. I said, "You did not." "No, Tim, I did not say a word. I swear to God." And I says, You didn't say that." "No." "What the heck was that?" She says, "I think we just communicated telepathically." I was like, "That's insane." Over a truck? That's how it comes about? So I didn't get it, man. I mean, that was the strangest thing. And it happened a couple more times after that. Again, mundane, but it did happen a couple more times. Like, I think she said at one point, at another date, "Hey, I left my water in the other room," and I call out from across the house, "I'll get it."
So each time that happened, were you guys in close proximity to each other, or has there ever been like where, you know, she's away at college and you're back home?
No, we were always in relatively close proximity.
I wonder if that has anything to do with
in the
it.
car and then in the same house.
I wonder if there's anything I wonder if there's anything to that, you know, the proximity.
Could be, could well be. It was, I never really explored it, to be honest. It scared me at the time. I kind of wish I could explore it now. She's across the country now. So it'd be tough to try, but maybe we could try it one day as an experiment.
It's never too early for holiday music, and it's never too early to start thinking about gifts. Whether it's for a friend or the friend in your pants, you can make this season holly, jolly, and a lot less hairy with Manscaped. Do your little drummer boy a favor and use the Lawnmower 4.0 to avoid another silent night in the bedroom. Just add in Manscaped's top-of-the-line shower products to have your partner thinking, "All I want for Christmas is you." It's a fact that Santa cares about his sack, and so should you. So, look your best while getting naughty by going to manscaped.com and use the code uncomfortable22 for free shipping and 20% off. The Manscaped Platinum Package 4.0 is the one-stop shop for the man who deserves it all. It has everything needed to help you deck the halls from face to balls, and just in time for mistletoe season. The Platinum Package has each product from the best-selling Performance Package Plus, Ultra Premium Body Wash, 2-in-1 Shampoo and Conditioner, and Deodorant. The Lawnmower 4.0 Trimmer and the Weed Whacker Nose and Ear Hair Trimmer feature proprietary advanced skin-safe technology to protect your delicate presence, and they're both waterproof. The 4.0 Trimmer now has LED lighting, so you can light up the way just like Rudolph. Once the grooming is done, it's time to make sure you don't smell like a reindeer. And with the Platinum Package shower products, all of Manscaped shower gear is sulfate-free, vegan, and made to have your skin feeling hydrated and smelling fresh. But smelling good doesn't stop there at the shower. The Crop Preserver Ball Deodorant and Crop Reviver Ball Toner can solve stank problems all day long. Once they touch your sack, you'll never go back. The Platinum Package 4.0 sitting under the tree is guaranteed to put anyone in the holiday spirit. And for the perfect stocking stuffer, add the brand new Body Buffer and incredible body scrubber that makes exfoliating easy and a lot cleaner than your old loofah. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code uncomfortable22 at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping worldwide at manscaped.com. Use the code uncomfortable22. Manscaped. Get your jingle balls ready for the holidays. Okay, so you've got a story about a former retired space marine, and can you go into that?
I can. That's actually pulled from a book, and I tried to find the reference for that. I couldn't find the reference anywhere. It was a book written in the 70s. It was loaned to me temporarily. It was just a series of tales of people who have been abducted in the past. And this one guy who's interviewed says, he starts out, I'm no one special. I worked at I think he said he was a quarryman of some sort. That's his life. That was his life. He worked in a quarry. And he lived relatively isolated part of town, little town, somewhere like Oklahoma, I think. I'm not positive about that. And he's been experiencing missing time because he'd go to sleep or fall asleep in his chair in front of the TV, and when he wakes up again, it's suddenly the next day. I mean, that happens to a lot of us. We fall asleep in our chairs and he wakes up. He says, but the sensation was I had barely nodded off, and suddenly it's 8-10 hours later. And typically, I fall asleep in the chair. I wake up after an hour, he says, and I go to bed. This didn't happen. He says, and I wasn't really concerned for me until I was washing dishes one night. I felt kind of groggy all of a sudden, and the next thing I know, I'm in my bed. I don't know how I got from the kitchen to the bed, and it's hours later. And this time differential keeps getting worse and worse. He's outside, suddenly he's in his bed. He's parked in his car, fell asleep there, suddenly he's in his bed. That kind of thing. So he starts looking into it. This is before the internet, so he has to go in town to the library. He does a little bit of searching. He checks out certain books, newspaper articles, that type of thing. And a librarian picks up on what he's looking at and says, "Did you have an experience?" He says, I don't know. It's just weird stuff's been happening. I'm just trying to put a finger on it. Turns out she's an abductee too. Relays him or puts him in touch with a group in like a larger town. I want to say Tulsa. I could be wrong. But so he goes into Tulsa, visits with this group. He recounts a couple of his tales, And they're telling him, "Oh, missing time, dude, you're an abductee. That's weird. That's so crazy. How long has it been happening to you?" And he doesn't know. He's a little overwhelmed. He says, I don't know. It's, just these weird things just start happening. I go to sleep in one place, or I think I'm in one place, and the next thing I know, I'm in my bed. And they say, go to a regression hypnotist. We got one. We know. He helps out all of us a whole lot. So he goes. He goes under. And he recounts this tale where he says, yeah, I'm sitting in front of the TV and my friend shows up. Who's your friend? I don't think you can say his name in English. I think he's the red one, though. Hold on. He's what? He's the red one. He's red. His skin's red. Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, do any others come around? He's asked under hypnosis. Yeah, there's the red one. Some of my buddies from the unit, they show up once in a while. And hold on, what unit? What are you talking about? My unit. I was part of a enforcer unit. Where? And he rattles off some strange planetary name that's not mentioned in the book for whatever reason. But he rattles off some. He did mention something though. I just recalled it. He mentioned something about Proxima. That's a loose remembrance on my part. Somewhere near the Proxima area, from Earth's perspective. Oh, okay. So what are you doing in this unit? Well, we're enforcers. We go out, we meet, and not meet, but we take down the enemy. We take down our enemies. Okay, you're a soldier. Well, yeah, that's a good way to put it. Okay. So what does your soldiering entail? Well, we're given a strike zone. We go in with and the way he holds it, like this, like a Gatling gun almost, or a mini gun, if you've ever seen Predator or whatever. Sure. The gun, right. Hold it like this, and it's and his words are force beam. We use a force beam, we just knock everyone down, knock down their buildings, just completely decimate this population, then we leave. And he says it so nonchalantly, and I'm flabbergasted by this. Yeah. Okay. So, and then, then we leave. We're pulled out. How do you get there? By ship. How do you get to the planet? By smaller ships. It's just really vague about the whole thing. And so, do you understand the operation of how these things work? Because it's not really. I'm a soldier. They, if it breaks, I gave it to someone. They fix it. They gave it back to me. So. That's session 1. Several sessions on, we learned that he was basically part of what I called, and I think it's even italicized as in the book as a space marine. But his unit went out, took care of this larger entities, government, race, I don't know which, issues with other worlds. And when it comes time to his retirement, after the way he put it sounded like 150 years worth of service. They give him a retirement option. They said, okay, so you can stick your consciousness into a new clone body, or you can retire and we'll stick your consciousness into a lesser being on a underdeveloped world.
What?
How underdeveloped? Well, you have a choice. And they write off planets, and Earth is one of them. Okay. Earth, yeah, why not? Let's go to Earth. So the way he describes it is he's standing in front of, he just shows up in front of this 2-year-old somewhere out in the woods somewhere. His parents are not too far away, but he's isolated. This 2-year-old. He just shows up there, like beams in or whatever. And suddenly he's able to see the world from that 2-year-old's perspective. He essentially describes it as overwriting the child's consciousness with his own. And that's how he lives the life he was currently inhabiting.
Wow.
And that's pretty much where the story ends, more or less.
That's crazy.
Oh, and his visitors were his buddies from from his military days. Yeah, we're going through the system and say hi. Oh, okay.
So, tell me about the Santa Cruz Beach boardwalk.
Okay. Now it was I don't know. I forget the name of it. When that serendipitous thing happens, and it's like, oh, I can't believe it starts with an S, and I'm drawing a blank on the term.
Synchronicity.
But, I had. Thank you. Synchronicity. That's the word. So it was on synchronicity. I had just heard a. Was it Charles? I'm drawing a blank. It's on my sheet too, which I don't have in front of me.
Charles
Can
Hall.
you help me out what that name is on the?
Charles.
Thank you, Charles Hall. So he was on. Let's see, Coast to Coast, I think, or on a rebroadcast of Coast to Coast, and I was listening to it. And he talked about the tall whites and his experience there as an enlisted Air Force at Nellis. And I was Air Force, not for very long, but I was Air Force myself. So I was extra interested. All right, I felt like airman experiencing some weird stuff. That's cool. And he describes aliens. He describes his experience. And I am doing DJ work at this time. And he says, or rather, I just happen to look over. I'm at that big grand hall. You don't know where the Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk is, do you? It's in Santa Cruz. It's by the beach. And there's this large old mall complex. They have roller coasters there and stuff like that, but they also have a big hall for meetings and parties and yada, yada, yada. And I was DJing there one night, and we were loading in, me and my partner on the gig were loading in, and I just happened to see this. I'd make her to be about 12 just by her height alone. Girl, young girl, 12. Also, it's kind of a bob blonde, but a little bit longer haircut. Very straight hair. Platinum white, which surprised me, and her skin was extra pale, and she had relatively normal everyday human clothes. I think they were red to one degree, maybe striped, and big sunglasses, like way big sunglasses. I couldn't believe how big they were, but they were also red. This girl's color was red, apparently. So she's red pants. Yeah, she did. She had red pants and a red and white striped shirt with big red sunglasses. And she is just losing her little mind over this car that's parked off to one side of the boardwalk. And I'm watching her actions, and she's pointing, and that's when I notice her fingers are extra long. I mean, they're long. Even from a distance, they were abnormally long, I'm telling you.
Freakish.
Probably double what huh? Freakish, yeah, for sure. For freakish, yeah, or rakish. That works too. But I mean, damn, something was off about this girl. Anyway, so she's pointing at they had just come out, the VW Bug, the new one, kind of smoothie version. Mm-hmm. Of the smoothie version. Yes, I'm a writer, by the way. Sorry, but I mean, what was that, 2012 or something like that? Anyway, and she's freaking out. She's pointing to it, and it's like she knows it. She's familiar with it. Look, I've seen that. You know how kids react when they see something in live that they see on TV, kind of a thing, and they're super excited about it. That's exactly what she was going through. And I follow her eye line back to this really tall woman. And I mean, really tall woman. She must have been easily 7 feet. And she's kind of dressed like a cross between a monk and a Jedi. She's got a hooded thing on. And it seems to be, she has these shoulder pads that kind of stick out a little bit. Mm-hmm. And but it's basically robes or layers of robes, kind of like a Jedi, like I said. And in that color scheme too, browns and neutral earth tones and all that. And her mother was just shaking her head like this. I was like, "What is the matter with you, kid?" that's the physical cue impression I got. Next to her, two dudes in trench coats. One trench coat is blue. The other trench coat is tan. I'm expecting Men in Black. That's not what this is. At least they weren't dressed like the typical Men in Black that you hear described. But wearing suits underneath these coats. One of them I could clearly see an earpiece. And they're sitting there, hands in front like you do when you're at attention, just waiting for the next order. You know?
Yeah.
So they're, I guess, parade rest without the hands behind the back and hands in front. And the mother, finally gets fed up. And I see her stomp her foot through the robe. She goes, bam, like that, right? And points with these equally long, freakishly long, to use your word, fingers, and motions for the child to come here, and then points down now. And the child throws a classic, very humanoid tantrum. I don't want to go back to the whatever it is, but she's still, kids do sometimes. Goes over to her parents, and you see one of the guys in the trench coat puts finger to his earpiece, says something through his cuff, and maybe 10 seconds later, a limo, which had been parked pretty much right in front of us the whole time, screams over, picks them up, everyone gathers in, they drive off. The funny thing was that made me think that these were alien creatures. It was that tale that was told on Coast to Coast, because he revealed in that thing that they take the aliens out into Vegas, wherever they want to go. Small detail, if you're able to go out, they let him go out. Around Earth, and I guess Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk was one of those destinations. I guess this is really unusual.
Were you able to notice anything about the facial details? Even though was the tall woman, was she wearing sunglasses as well? Facial features. The hood did a lot to cover that face. It really did. She had a very pointed chin, I remember. Very distinctive chin. I could see her when she didn't talk. She kind of like almost muttered under her breath, kind of a thing. You know that motion when people talk under their breath? That's what I saw. But it was a very pointed little white chin. And I mean alabaster white, like glue, like crackers, sorry, that sounded racist and I'm not trying to be, but paper, I mean but I mean white. White like a piece of paper. That's, I guess, is the best way to put it. And how,
and a little girl too.
How close were you to them?
I was approximately, gosh, I call it about 60 feet away. It's a sizable distance, but back then I had better eyes.
Yeah, that's not that far at all, really.
It's not that far, but it was far enough that they were, that big just so big from my perspective. But it was definitely an experience. It's like, oh my God, did I see where? And I even tapped my buddy, who's busy a little bit loading stuff in, because I had stopped. He said, "Are you going to help me?" I said, "Look at that girl. Tell me what's wrong with her." Just to make sure I wasn't going nuts. And look at her fingers. Oh yeah, those are her own fingers. He didn't care. Back to loading the stuff up for the gig.
Wow.
He just didn't care. It's like, oh, dude, you don't know what you're missing. But I confirmed they were there. At least I got that. He saw the girl with the long fingers. But it was definitely an experience.
It definitely pays to be observant.
Yeah, I had to actually learn to be more observant when I was I did private investigation. That was my first job. I was a freelance investigator, and I helped different people out, largely with surveillance and background checks. Back then, before the internet, we had to do background checks by going into the county office and all that fun stuff. So, but it helped me observant because I remember one time I went to the courthouse, and I remember this one dude had a bulge under his jacket, right? I was like, that's got to be a gun. You think it'd be obvious. The guy had to go through security to get into a county building. And so I quietly go to one of the security sheriffs there, and I say, I'm not trying to alarm you, and maybe I'm wrong. I don't know who this person is, but I think that guy has a gun. He says, yeah, we were keeping an eye on for a little bit. Good eyes. It's like, oh, okay. You might want to get out of here. It's like, oh, okay.
Jesus.
He's like, so, good times.
You know, the observance thing is it's something that I can't place enough weight behind.
Right.
Honestly, I think, you know, my time spent as a bouncer back in my early 20s really did a lot for honing my observant skills. And I've spoke of this numerous times. I got to the point where I could recognize whether or not you were going to be a problem when you walked in the door. I could tell if you were going to be a happy drunk or an angry drunk, whether or not you were going to start crap with your girlfriend or get in a fight, or, you know, it got to the point where it was like, it was a joke. We would put, you know, a small wager on it. And, you know, more times than not, I was right. And, you know,
you have some second ability yourself there.
I've had recently, you know, I mean, in the last couple of years since I've been doing this, I have had some people say, well, that goes a little bit deeper than just, you know, chance. It's because you were able to, you know, hone in on something. And I don't know if that's true or not.
Yeah.
I've said this before.
Well, there's something to be said for... Right. There's something to be said for being observant, though. That does go toward increasing your ability to just, like, pull things out of what seems like thin air, but you're needing cues. You always are, especially in a position like that, where you are responsible for everyone's safety. So you're going to be on high, you know, pretty much on alert pretty much all the time.
Yeah. And, you know, I mean, in that situation, I mean, you know, granted, you're working in a bar, loud music, pretty girls, lots of things going on. But in the position of being a bouncer, you're always kind of, if you're doing your job right, you're always kind of in a heightened state of awareness, you know, because you want to be able to flirt with the girls. Yeah, you want to make sure everybody's having a good time. You're paying attention when the DJ plays, you know, a good song. But you've always got your eyes on the back of your head because you're afraid, you know, somebody's gonna decide tonight's the night I'm gonna challenge you, or, you know, whatever the case might be. And I just, you know, I find myself even now, and I didn't realize I was doing it. I went to a birthday party at a bar very near my house, and they had rented out the outside area during the summer, and they were having a birthday party for a friend of ours. And even though it's enclosed, but it's outside, and it was under a tent, I was sitting up against the wall of the tent, facing the main entrance. And I didn't realize that I do this, but after this guy said it, and he said it was so weird that he just, I mean, he was a friendly guy. I didn't really know him. I'd known of him, seen him around before, but I didn't know him. And he's like, he pointed out that he's like, oh, you're a protective personality as well, aren't you? And I was like, what? And he's like, I can tell because you got your back to the wall and you're looking at the entrance. And I was like, and I started thinking about it when he said that, and I was like, holy crap. Yeah. I do that. When I sleep, I got to face the door. When, you know, if I'm in bed with somebody, then I have to be between the door and them. if, it's strange, but it's like, holy crap, I recognize that I do that all the time. So,
yeah, I have a similar. Yeah. It is second nature after a while. I did security. I didn't bounce. That sounds like a funner job, a more fun job. But I did security briefly for a little while. And you're on a heightened alert the whole time. And I got into a similar thing where back to the wall, just like you, always looking at the door, and I do the same thing when I got someone with me, in the bedroom. I'm between them and the door.
Yeah.
And it's a fascinating observation, especially when you self-realize that you're doing that. It does take you back. It's like, oh my God, that's some serious conditioning. I guess it's a good thing.
I just found it odd that it took somebody that didn't know me at all to almost recognize it immediately, and I couldn't tell you. I know we had to continue the conversation. I don't know what his line of work was. I don't know. I don't know how or what it was that made him just decide to say that. I'm kind of glad that he did, because I don't know that I would have ever really come to the realization of it. But
did you find you needed to change your ways, or did you just say, "Oh, that's cool," and keep doing what you're doing?
No, I am perfectly comfortable doing what I do. I don't know that I could. I don't know that I could ever switch gears and not be that person. So, I
understand completely.
I don't know that I necessarily have like a complex about having to protect people. But that being said, I guess looking at some of the things I've done, I do put myself in that position. And that's interesting. I don't know that I've really thought about it that much, but I don't know. Maybe it's just a personality trait. Who knows?
It's a good trait to have, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. Like I said, I wouldn't change how I am. But it does hamper your ability to let loose and have fun and be unguarded.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it does. Yeah. I've gone out with a few friends, not too recently, but recently enough where they noted that about me. They said, "Dude, you got to relax." I said, "What are you talking about? I am relaxed. I'm having a good time." I was always head on the swivel the whole time, right?
Yeah, that's funny. That's funny. It kind of causes me pause right now that we're talking about it, because, I've got fleeting glimpses of things that I've done in the past, and I'm like, yeah, 100%. So, all right, this is not about getting into my head. So, let's move on to.
This has become the Dr. Tim show. Yeah. Tell me how you're feeling.
Get out of my head.
I'm teasing. Please continue.
Let's wind this up with sure. There's one big one, and I think let's revisit this at another time. It's the
sure.
The way out one.
The Ryan thing? The way out one? Okay.
Yeah, the way out one.
Yeah, way out one. I like that one.
Let's say that for another episode. But the one that I'm really interested in, having seen a full-bodied apparition, and what the hell is a monkey demon?
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Okay. Well, this will probably suck up the rest of the 2 hours. Okay, so this is before JJ came on board. My buddy Henry and I, we get a case. These people are being tormented by one, maybe two entities. One is kind of in the kitchen area. And the way this condo works, you walk in the door, you're in a living room. Beyond that's a kitchen. Between those two, a hall. Down the hall, bedrooms, right? And so walking in the living room, again, a hotter than needs to be house. And they got the AC cranked at full. Nothing is working. Windows are open, big sliding doors. Doesn't matter. They can't cool the house off, even with fans. And walk into the kitchen, and the client has done. And this is the problem with some clients. I'm not saying don't do it, but if you're going to call in someone to do paranormal investigation, maybe don't do too much research. Because this client of mine did a ton of research and read a lot of stuff into every little thing that was going on wrong in their place. Sometimes, ants means you need to clean a little more. I don't know. But there are ants when we showed up in the kitchen, and they were going after the dog food in the house. It's like, okay, there's ants in the kitchen. They took 30 minutes out of my time to pause the investigation before we really even began, cleaned up the ants, and then we resumed. What happens in the kitchen? Well, the dog dish gets played with a lot, including the ants, and no matter how much we spray, they come back. Well, they're ants. I can throw that away for now. There's something we said that bugs are related to a lot of paranormal disturbances. All this darkness and stuff invites a lot of critters. But I don't think, to this day, I don't think that was the case. They continue to tell me that in the kitchen, the dog dish, and it's a big one. It's a fanciful one where you got it's top loaded with like 4 days of food. It just drips into the bowl as required. A big, same thing with the water jug, 4 days worth of water, feeds in as required. And it's heavy. I tried to move it. It's heavy. It's like 10, 20 pounds max. Not easy to, if you wound up and kicked it, you can move it. But, I mean, just to try and move it gently, kind of hard to do. That thing ends up in the middle of the kitchen all the time, is what they say. Cabinets open. Walk out of the house. Cabinets closed. Walk out of the kitchen. Walk back into the kitchen. Cabinets open. Okay. Poltergeist activity. Someone's trying to get your attention. I hear strange voices in this room. Could be the neighbors. I actually heard the neighbors while I was there. They're loud. I'm thinking it's the neighbors. Mm-hmm. I don't throw it away, but I put it in the dismissed pile per se. What happens in the living room? Not much. We see orbs sometimes. I said, wait, hold on. You see orbs? You see little balls of light? Well, we taken pictures and we see orbs there. Yeah. Okay, could be dust. Yeah. Could be dust. I can't. That's also in the maybe, but more or less the dismissed pile. I'm not the biggest orb fans. That will change with this investigation, by the way. So go down, we check out the bedrooms, and it's the master bedroom that has the most activity. And then the guest bedroom where their teenage daughter lives also has a lot of activity. The daughter is so scared she's moved out into the garage temporarily. Long-term temporarily, but the bed got moved out and everything. It was I've never seen anyone do that before. But they were that scared of the space. So what happens in the hall? What happens in the bedrooms? Footsteps running up and down. Things crawling around in the attic. We check and then we don't see anything. And we have devices, alarm clocks going off at all hours, even though we don't set them that way. It's like, okay, gotcha. So, unlike what you see on TV, the client usually stays pretty close by, but they investigate with us. You know, they follow our cues and they investigate with us. We can't set them up at a hotel. It would be nice, but I don't have the budget of a television show to do that. But anyway, so we begin the investigation, and I hadn't set up the camera yet. And I had the mic going, though. The recorder, and we hear in the kitchen, and we all run in there. I grab the camera off its tripod, I turn it on, and I'm shooting, and the dog dish had moved into the center of the room, just like they said.
Oh, wow.
So we document, we take pictures, we examine it from all things, we see if there's maybe my partner Henry, he's on it. He's, I know what this is. There's water under there, and it got moved out because of some sort of evaporation. No water. So we're at a loss. He puzzles that one. He gets like this, you know. He strokes his beard that he never had. He was a clean-shaven guy. I miss Henry so much. Anyway, so he ponders that for a second, and I said, okay, well, we'll put the dish back and see if it happens again. We'll keep the camera trained on it. We continue the rest of the investigation. We start in the daughter's room. We have a second camera on us. We do a conversation and EVP check, right? And we don't hear anything, but I feel something. I don't know what it is, but my back itches and then my arm itches, right? And we're sitting kind of cross-legged on the floor because, again, the bed got moved to the garage. Anyway, so I have these weird little itches, and I noted in the recording. And there's that. So on the playback, it's where I've ever experienced my first true orb. And what happens is this firefly-looking thing, constantly on, not flashing, mind you. But it's about that big, flies into my back, and then I scratch after it, flies out my stomach, and then through my arm, you see me scratch, and out the other side of my arm, and floats off I don't know where. My first orb. Wow. My first truly confirmed orb right there. And we're awed. We're going to go, oh my gosh, that's crazy. That's just nuts, because we're reviewing it as we go just to see, it's just so we can highlight and save and all that fun stuff. So we investigate. We're about to investigate the master bedroom, and I got the camera on, and we go to the lights out again. I got the camera on, pointed right at the hallway, and you hear this horse gallop type thing, and I see with my naked eye this grotesque little monkey-looking thing. It's oh my God, it's horrifying. It almost looked like a headless monkey, but I could see the top of a head kind of poking out almost through its chest, like it was super hunched over. And it's galloping. You know how monkeys gallop? Yeah. They move kind of to the side, and it just goes boom, boom, boom down the hall. I said, oh my God, did you guys see that? And I'm the only one who saw it with my eye. Does not show up on the camera. I was so pissed off. Oh my God, really? But you hear it. You don't see it, but you hear it, and you watch me react. Oh my God, what the hell was that?
So you got the sound of it galloping on the video.
Yeah. Yes. Got that on tape, but the visual did not show up. And I toyed with the video, trying to get it to show up in different spectrums. Didn't show up at all. But I saw it with my eye.
What was it? The appearance of it? Did it appear translucent, or did it look solid in shape?
It appeared solid.
Did it?
Solid. About I make it, what'd you call that? 2.5 feet high at the what I assume were shoulders, and it was, I guess, quadrupedal, because like a chimpanzee is. Yeah. You know, they switch between the two. But it was just gnarled looking, like it was almost like tree bark. It was cracked leather or something like that. That was the hide it was living in. And it was when it moved, it had that chimpanzee gallop to it, but it also looked like it was hurt to one degree or another. Like it was suffering, and it kept leading with, like chimpanzees do. They lead with your shoulder a little bit, and especially when they run. And this thing just goes down the hall, and I follow it out, and it disappears. Nothing. And I'm so pissed it didn't show up on camera, but the gallop did, and my following reactions. So that was one thing. I was like, okay, they definitely got something here. The story's not over. There's more. Into the master bedroom we go. With us, we have two psychics who are, I guess they're a couple. And the one girl who's a little more in tune with her psychic power is a novice compared to JJ. I mean, a novice compared to JJ. Nowhere near her ability or strength or any of that fun stuff. But she goes into this trance, and we're all sitting in this circle in front of the bed in the master bedroom, and she goes into this trance, and she says, yes, someone's here. It's a man, and he is not happy with you. Points to me. And I said, what did I do? I just got here. And he goes like this. He goes like this to you, Tim, wagging his finger at me. And I said, okay, what did I do? What did I do? Ask him, what did I do?
This must be the brother to this must be the brother to the the flight attendant.
Shame on you for running through my sister.
Everybody wants a piece of Tim.
Oh man. So yeah, this thing's ticked at me for some reason. I said, well, I see an opportunity to aggravate. So I said, well, do something about it. Nothing. Go on, do something about it. Nothing. I said, do something about it. I got really mean about it. And she, this psychic, just starts weeping. I said, okay, stop what you're doing. Stop what you're doing. I don't want you to hurt her. Do not hurt her. And she weeps for about a minute and a half, 2 minutes. I mean, just crying her little eyes out. And suddenly she just kind of comes out of it and says, okay, it's gone. I need a rest. We need to take a break. So lights up. We take the opportunity to review the footage. Behind the psychic, as we're all sitting in front of the bed, there's a full-length mirror. About right as she enters this trance state, you see a full-bodied apparition step through the mirror. Male, kind of big, hands on hips, visibly, looking down at her, at the psychic, not at me. I'm across the room. His head orientation would have been different. And he just stands there over her like some sort of overlord or something. I don't know how else to describe it. And she goes through her experience, and once he finally lets her go, he steps backwards, doesn't turn around, steps backwards through this mirror, and probably beyond for all I know. And then she comes out of her trance, and it's caught on tape. Wow. And I was blown away. I was blown away. And you couldn't make out too much detail, but it was kind of a fuzzy, like TV static. I think we talked about this before. I saw that in another experience. But yeah, filled with like a fuzzy TV static. Like it's out of focus. It's blurry, but it's there. It's a little bit shimmery. Yeah. Not really. But yeah.
Is that video
Still
up?
Go ahead.
Is that video up and available for listeners to see?
That video was chewed up by the camera.
Oh no.
Can you believe it? I had just finished transferring it, or trying to transfer it to my computer, and the computer caught like a part of it, and then I hear the grinding in the camera. And I stop everything, pull it apart, and the tape is shredded.
Oh, so that was before SD cards. Yeah.
Yeah, before e-cards. So, unfortunately, but we were, and I think it's because we watched it too many times before that, because we did a little quasi watch party after the investigation.
Yeah,
just to see make sure everyone saw the same thing. And we did watch it and rewind it in the camera a lot, so maybe just too much. Who knows? But still, not the end of the night. We are about to take a quick meal break. We're all starving. No one thought to bring food. I don't know why. So we're going to leave the cameras running. It's about 1 or 2 in the morning. We're going to hit the local diner and grab some food and maybe bring it back. And let the camera capture what it can capture. We're just about out the door, and the husband of the client, he has to get up early, so that's why we did the master bedroom just before we left, so he can get some sleep. He walks out in his underwear. He doesn't care. He's bleary-eyed, and he's holding up his phone. And it is playing the most demented song I've ever heard in my life. It sounds like a music box dying. Bang, bang, really out of tune, unsynchronous tones. It'll definitely wake you up. But my God, it was eerie. So bang, bang, and that's it. That's the song. That's the sound we hear every other night at weird different times. So my tech genius Henry steps in, stops the alarm, digs through it. Oh yeah, you set the alarm for 2:30. I didn't set the alarm for 2:30. You had to have set the alarm for 2:30. No, I get up at 6. Setting the alarm for 2:30 doesn't make any sense. I have to get up at 6. Okay, you're right. That doesn't make sense. Okay, so I'm going to delete the alarm. There. Shouldn't bother me anymore. Okay. The guy takes 2 steps down the hall. The song goes off again. And he goes over to Henry and says, "Fix it. I got to get some sleep." So Henry stops the alarm. Yeah, no alarm. He deleted that alarm. Okay, so he starts digging through the phone's directory. He's smart like that. He can get into places on that phone I could never get. And this is an old clamshell model, like the more digital version of the clamshells, but nonetheless. It's before the smartphone, for sure. So he's digging through it. Gosh, I can't even find the song. And he plays them all. He gives them all 2-second plays. Every song in this thing. Can't find it. And then he finally finds it buried in a hidden directory. And he says, "There it is. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, that's it. Okay. Can you have another alarm clock, sir?" "Yeah, I got it. Yeah, I can use that. That's kind of my backup alarm." I said, "Well, okay, just play extra loyal tomorrow." Pops the battery out of the phone. "I have solved your problem." Bon, donga, don, donga. It plays without the battery in his hand. And he looks at it, pulls them apart, holds the 2 things to make sure he is holding that battery, turns over the phone, turns off the alarm, and then the phone is dead again, just as it was when he pulled out the battery. He tries to power it up without the thing. He thinks out loud, perhaps there's some residual power in the thing.
Yeah, maybe a capacitor or something.
Not really. Maybe monitor, baby capacitor, whatever. I'm thinking, no, doesn't power up, doesn't work. That's the most bizarre. I mean, he does that thing where he strokes his clean-shaven beard again. And he is puzzled by that, just puzzled by that. So we keep the phone separate, and we forget about getting anything to eat, and we just continue investigating. We ask questions, but everything seems to die down at about 3 in the morning. So with some relief in sight, at least for the time being, as we're packing up, it hits me. There is a line of these, I think you used to get them at, not Bed Bath & Beyond, but something else, like Bombay. Remember that store, Bombay? I don't know if they're around anymore.
Not that I
But there are these paper lanterns. Okay. There are these paper lanterns in the shape of a 5-point star. Within these five, cut into this 5-point star or other 5-point stars. And it occurs to me that where these paper lanterns are hung, mind you, there's no lights in them. They're just hung up kind of like decoration. The line of how these things are lined up down the hall and into the kitchen is the line of activity. That we hear the galloping, we hear all this activity happens along this line. And it clicks too that in every room of this house, they're either Catholic or Christian. I'm not sure the difference, but apparently there is one. And there's a crucifix on every wall in every room of the house. Nothing grotesque, simple little metal or brass crucifix. And it hits me. There's a collision there. All right, so I asked the question: where did the lamps come from? My mom brought them in. She was doing some sort of tourist thing, and she got them out of Guadalajara, is my recollection, although that doesn't sound correct. But she got them at some strange place. She bought them off a bruja. A bruja. Okay, I know what that is. For those who don't know, that's Spanish for witch. It doesn't always mean witch. It could mean medicine woman, but in the literal translation, I think it's witch. So I said, okay, I think I see the problem. I want you to pull all these lanterns down tonight. And see what happens. I stow them up in the attic. I don't care. Do not burn them. Do not throw them away. Just stow them somewhere. Fold them up, wrap them up, stow them somewhere because they're collapsible. And she does so. 2 days later, I come by to share what little footage I had recovered from my poor tape. And it was, it felt so much brighter in that place. The air was flowing. It was easily 30 degrees cooler than it was the night we were there before. It was a cool night out. And the activity had ceased. And the daughter had moved back into her room. And everything was right with the world, so to speak. It was just an amazing transformation just by taking down these simple paper lanterns. And it became abundantly clear that later on, well, to me anyway, every time I told Henry this, he kind of hammered and hawed at me. But he said, I told him, I think there was a collision of energies there, and that's what was causing all the chaos. And he says, I guess so. That kind of makes sense. And then he goes to some diatribe about positive and negative energy, which I completely forget. But being the scientist, that's his job. But he agreed more or less with me that has something to do with it more on a metaphysical level than a practical level. Wow. But it seemed to do the trick. I mean, I was able to help these people get rid of their problem, which felt amazing, I might add. Better than just simply verifying, yeah, your place is haunted. Have a good one. Yeah. And, like I had to do in the past. So, and that night started the quest to find a third person for our team.
Wow. That's an interesting one for sure.
Yeah, that's probably still our craziest case, to say the least.
Well, Tim, listen, this has been.
Go ahead.
This has been a great hour and 40 minutes. Truly enjoyed talking with you. Interesting stuff. A little bit different than a typical episode because of the ability to have some humor behind the stuff. So it was nice for a change, a little bit lighter of an episode. Since my close proximity to Michigan, For a good deal of the life of the show, Michigan has been the largest population of listeners per state in the U.S. that I have. Up until about a month and a half ago, they have dropped off considerably, and they are now just slightly below, of all places, California being the top state for my listeners in the U.S., which I don't understand.
That's
because
amazing.
It's like it's California, then it's Michigan, then it's New York, and then I think Ohio and Indiana. Comes back to the Midwest, but the reach of the show to the West Coast and the East Coast is just kind of floors me. So where this probably wouldn't be necessary to some extent, I think it is. I think it'd be fortuitous to do it now. If people listening were interested in securing your services, how would they go about that?
Use your telepathic abilities, and I'm kidding. Sorry, stupid joke. Go ahead and reach out to. We have a Gmail right now. You can reach out to scruffytux@gmail.com.
You want to spell that?
No, that's not it. That's totally no. I can't spell that because I gave you the wrong one. I'm so sorry. That's my other business. Wow, that's embarrassing. But since I gave it to you, I tell you what, we'll stay there. We'll keep it Scruffy Tux. Okay. That's Scruffy, as in my beard is Scruffy. SCRUFFY, Tux is in tuxedo, TUX @gmail.com. And Scruffy Tux, incidentally, is my film production company. I'm a filmmaker.
Oh, and, interesting.
SCARI is our public outreach arm. So it's unique. I'm the only one who, either locally or worldwide, who does paranormal investigation as an outreach. So,
any other places that people can follow you, social media wise, or?
I'm a social media moron. I mean, I have a Facebook, I have an Instagram. I hardly ever check them. I should be better at that. If you want to reach out, I will likely get a notification. For Instagram, I am ste.video. And that's a guess because I have to look at my phone to verify that. See, I told you I'm an internet moron sometimes, I tell you. Instagram. Okay. Yes, I got it right. How about that? The memory is still good. STE.video. STE stands for Scruffy Tuxedo Entertainment, in case you're wondering. And you'll be directed. There's a website there that'll direct you to the production site. But if you look under, gosh, again, internet moron. I don't even know my own thing. But if you go to scruffytux.com, you will see a little thing for SCARI, and you can reach out to us through that, or just email us directly at the email I provided.
All right, sir. Well, it's been a pleasure. I thank you for taking the time. I know we got a bit of a time difference between you and I, but I'm glad you were able to accommodate me.
Yeah. Oh, not at all. Well, I'm accommodating you. I mean, no, hold on. You're accommodating me because I know you're like 3 hours ahead of me. It's late for you. It's dinner time.
Getting there. Yeah, getting there.
Getting there. So, Tim, thank you, and I appreciate you having me on. I really do.
Thanks so much, man. It has been a lot of fun talking with you, and we will have to revisit this for the out there one, because that is
the out there one. I'm so calling it that. I'm going to steal that, man. The out there one.
That is a really, really interesting story, and in so many ways. So I appreciate your time, my friend.
All right, thank you, man. I appreciate you having me on. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, guys, I really hope you enjoyed tonight's episode. If you did, please don't forget to leave us a 5-star rating and review wherever you can, and share the show with your friends, share it with your family, share it with your coworkers, however you want to. Just share the show, and let's get this community built up. Until next week, please stay uncomfortable.